ya de editor, de que estamos en directo. Hice un directo recién hace unos segundos, pero se cortó por un problema del editor, ¿ok? Así que esperen un ratito. Vamos a esperar. A ver que ya me confirme. Efectivamente, guardianos y criptonianos, ya estamos en directo, ¿ok? Perfecto, perfecto. Ya vi que se había sumado uno. Vamos a esperar a que se sumen. Perfecto. Bueno, a ver, vamos a ver. Quiero que me vayan informando a ver si se escucha bien, ¿ok, chicos? Quiero que me vayan informando a ver si se escucha bien. Si se escucha bien y todo eso. Hoy vamos a reaccionar al panel de Helstrom, ¿ok? A la hora que está en pantalla, ya la pueden ver, de que hay un 19:00, hora argentina, ¿ok? O sea que acá se pueden fijar igualmente para no andarse fijando en Google la hora argentina cada rato. Nada, ya van a ser las 7, vamos a ir al canal oficial de la Comic Con, ¿ok? Así que vamos. A ver, acá está el canal oficial de la Comic Con. Bueno, nada, ya espero, como digo, que se vayan sumando. Ya son las 7, ok, pero Comic Con tarda siempre un poquito en sacar sus paneles. Quiero que vayan confirmando en el chat, por favor, a ver si se escucha bien. Quiero, por favor, que vayan confirmando. Actualmente, miren, lo que hice fue, me di cuenta, les comento ahora, de que en el anterior panel se cortaba un poco, ok, se cortaba un poco el directo, en la parte donde se ven los trailers como que se cortaba y en otras partes también, así que lo que hice fue bajar la latencia, ok. ¿Qué es la latencia? Que miren, lo que ustedes están viendo ahora mismo, yo lo acabo de hacer, ok, no es como que llega unos minutos atrasados, no, yo lo acabo de hacer, ok. Me están informando que se escucha muy mal. A ver, esperen un ratito. A ver, vamos a ajustar el audio, ok. Quiero ver, a ver si ahí se escucha bien. Ahora acabo de ajustar el micrófono, a ver si se escucha bien. Como digo, agradecido que pongan el chat a ver si ahora se escucha bien. Porque realmente, bueno, el audio es algo muy importante, ¿ok? Bueno, voy a esperar su confirmación a ver si se escucha bien. Ahora ya como un poco el micrófono. Así que bueno, vamos a ver qué nos presentan, ¿ok? En este panel ya está confirmado, si no me equivoco, de que van a presentar un trailer, ¿ok? Así que vamos a tener el primer avance oficial de Helstrom. Eso es muy importante. Para los que estén medio perdidos les voy a informar. Helstrom es la nueva serie de Marvel. Marvel va a sacar una serie con asociación con Hulu, claro. Y bueno, va a ser la serie Helstrom, ¿ok? Una serie que se basa en un personaje de Marvel Comics que, bueno, va un poco más por ese tema de infierno y ya por lo oscuro de Marvel Studios. Estoy esperando su confirmación a ver si se escucha bien. Como digo, hasta ahora no suben el panel, pero siempre se atrasan un poco, por más que estén programados, siempre se atrasa un poquito en subir los paneles, mientras vamos a visitar la página, si no les molesta, para ver qué onda, ¿no? Vamos a poner Comic Con, y ahí solamente no va a aparecer, exacto, acá está. Bueno, vamos a ver, estoy esperando su confirmación a ver si se escucha bien. Nada. Este panel puede ser muy interesante, como digo, porque además de mostrar un trailer puede mostrar un poco más sobre la trama, pósters, confirmar actores, que también es muy importante confirmar parte del cast. Así que nada, vamos a ver si nos revelan algo nuevo, y que yo creo que sí, obviamente para eso es el panel, y a ver qué nos revelan. Espero realmente que este panel sea muy largo, ok, porque mientras más largo mejor. Ayer vimos The New Mutants, me explotó la cabeza a todo que estamos en directo porque mostraron el inicio de la película. Saludos a Chagua Gamer, que acaba de comentar diciendo te dejo un like, muchísimas gracias. Quiero saber cómo va el directo, se escucha bien, se corta. quiero saber cómo, bueno, cómo está yendo, ¿no? Como digo, estoy esperando su confirmación. Vamos a ver, estoy esperando su confirmación, como digo, a ver si se escucha bien. Por favor, vayan poniendo en el chat a ver si se escucha bien. Hola Miguel Castellón, hola Chavo Gamer, que ya lo había saludado. Quiero ver si se escucha bien, chicos, por favor avísenme en el chat. Quiero ver si se escucha bien. O si va trabado el directo o lo que sea, ¿ok? Quiero que me avisen, por favor. Bueno, vamos a ver qué onda, como digo, con este panel, qué es lo que nos puede mostrar. Acá estamos oficialmente en el canal de la Comic Con. Estamos actualizando, a ver si sale algo nuevo. ¿Se escucha bien? Perfecto, perfecto. Muchas gracias, Miguel Castellón. Nada, vamos a esperar a que, bueno, pongan algo nuevo, ¿ok? Vamos a ir mientras a la página a ver si hay algo nuevo en la mercancía. Como digo, ayer lo que estábamos viendo era el panel de Marvel 616, que fue un completo fracaso. Y el panel también de New Mutants, que se nos voló la cabeza, ¿ok? Así que, bueno, nada, ojalá se presente cosas como el otro. No creo que nos vaya a mostrar el inicio de la serie, obviamente, pero sí creo que pueden poner cosas interesantes como un trailer, imagen o cualquier cosa. Creo que puede explotar realmente internet, como lo hizo New Mutants, ¿ok? New Mutants no había tenido tanto levante, si bien antes salía trailer y todo eso, pero gracias a esto de la cuarentena, como no hay nada nuevo, al salir de New Mutants explotó, desde Instagram hasta YouTube, todo. Ok, así que ahora Emilia Castellón me dijo que el sonido se escuchaba bien, así que está todo perfecto. Vamos a ver qué tal, ¿no? Seguimos con el directo, voy a tratar de chequear un ratito algo. Creo que se escucha un poco aturdido, ok, quiero que me digan ahora si mejora el audio, espérenme un ratito, ok. Arrenos y criptonianos, quiero que me digan si ahora se escucha un poco mejor el audio. Acabo de actualizar el micrófono, perdón, el micrófono acabo de actualizar el audio y acabo de cambiar de micrófono. Creo que se escucha todavía muy aturdido, perdóname, creo que se escucha muy aturdido, la verdad, ¿no? Sí, se escucha muy aturdido. Ok, acaban de salir videos nuevos, acá debería estar, wow, que salió un video nuevo, wow. Acá tenemos Helstrom, el First Look, 40 minutos con 56 segundos, esperamos un ratito. Se escucha muy aturdido, chicos, lo siento. Voy a tratar de cambiar antes de ver el directo, espérenme. A ver si ahí se escucha mejor, chicos. Quiero esperar la confirmación. A ver ahí. Se escucha igual de aturdido. Se escucha igual de aturdido. No, sí, se escucha muy aturdido. Lo siento, chicos. Bueno, vamos, nada, voy a ponerme el otro micrófono y a verlo, ¿ok? Por más que esté el audio aturdido. Volví chicos, vamos a reaccionar ahora sí al panel de Helstrom. Ya sé que se escucha muy aturdido, pero bueno, es lo único que puedo lograr. Vamos a reaccionar, dura 40 minutos con 56 segundos. Vamos a comenzar a reaccionar chicos, así que vamos a verlo, ¿ok? Perdónenme por lo aturdido del audio, en serio. Vamos a reaccionar. Ok, el logo.
Hi everyone, I'm Laura Prudham, editorial.
Vamos a activar los subtítulos, se me había olvidado esa pequeña parte. Bueno, acá estamos activando los subtítulos para los que estén medio perdidos con esto. Estamos en el directo de Helstrom, ¿ok? Estamos en el directo de Helstrom, que es una nueva serie de Marvel Studios en colaboración con Hulu. Así que nada, se escucha un poco aturdido el audio, es por el micrófono. Pero bueno, vamos ahora sí a reaccionar. Dura 40 minutos con 55 segundos y es exclusivo para la tienda.
Hi everyone, I'm Laura Prudham, editorial manager for IGN, and it's my pleasure to welcome you to this Comic-Con at Home panel for Hulu's Helstrom. Joining me today are showrunner and executive producer Paul Spajewski, Tom Austin, who plays Damon Helstrom, Sydney Lemon, who plays Helstrom, Elizabeth Marvel, who plays their mother, Victoria Helstrom, Robert Whitson, who plays Caretaker, Ariana Guerra, who plays Gabriella Rossetti, June Carroll, who plays Dr. Louise Hastings, and Elaine Uwe, who plays Chris Yen. And Paul, I know you wanted to say
acá nos confirmando el cast.
Thank you, Laura. Given the events that are happening in the real world today, I think it would be a little remiss of us and irresponsible not to address some of the things that are going on, especially because our show is about good and evil and right and wrong and the trauma of our past. We're supposed to be doing a show that's a horror story.
Vaya comentando en el chat a ver si hay algo que me pierdo, ¿ok?
Real horror. Real horror is 8 minutes and 46 seconds. Real horror is what happened to Rashard Brooks.
Por cierto, para que no lo sepa, como ya se sumó alguien nuevo al directo, estamos transmitiendo el panel de Helstrom, que es una serie de Marvel con la asociación con Hulu, ¿ok?
Ahmaud Arbery, and the violence that keeps happening continually on a daily basis to Black people and to people of color in general in this country. We all remember that there are still kids in cages down the border as well. And so it's important that we demand action and we demand change and that we not be complacent and that we not be silent, which is why I'm speaking today. I am by no means qualified to lecture. It's not my place. But I am a writer whose job it is to have empathy.
Vas comentando en el chat, como digo,
a human being with a conscience who is adding his voice to the many other voices out there who are deeply saddened and profoundly angry about the state of our country and the things that are going on today. So while I'm happy to jump into the discussion of systemic racism, white privilege, the need to vote.
Están hablando de racismo en Estados Unidos, prácticamente. Muy buen mensaje.
Qualified, most intelligent, most thoughtful person in the world to be discussing these topics. There are certainly more qualified people to talk about that kind of stuff, including my friends here on this panel. I know, June, you and I have talked off camera, offline about these things, and I know you have some thoughts you'd like to share as well.
I do. I don't know if what I say can be said in a way that you can hear or receive. But, you know, since I'm trying to be mad, trying not to be mad, just saw another video of someone getting tackled and then held down by 3 guys. Turns out it was the wrong guy. I don't think there's a way not to speak. There are a million ways that you can kill someone. Assumptions, projections, suspicion, appropriation, objectification, slurs, violation of representation, and lack of representation. Every time I go out of my house, I have to calculate how fast I'm walking, where I'm walking, when I'm walking, if I'm walking with anybody. I have to make sure my face is doing the right thing, my hands are doing the right thing, my eyes are doing the right thing, all so that I can prove that I am safe. I am not sure why, given all that, it still takes watching someone die for 8 minutes and 46 seconds to finally recognize that it's all damage and it's all the same death. I don't know why it takes watching someone die like that.
Estoy viendo que se está cortando un poco la transmisión, así que voy a esperar un ratito que se reajuste. A ver, ahí está.
To finally be willing to recognize what's killing them. This show is timely because it is about people trying to figure out who they are in the face of pure evil. And that is exactly where we are right now. And, you know, everybody's running around, everybody feels bad, everybody wants to know what to do. You feel bad? Great. You want to educate yourself? Great. Google it. Read a book. You want to do something revolutionary? Get off center stage. There are a whole bunch of people standing around the outside. You want to help, you want to be good, be good. You want to do better, do better. Treat other people the way you want to be treated. It's not that hard.
Ok, está muy bueno el mensaje que dan por el aumento de racismo en Estados Unidos, como pueden ver, con el panel de Helstrom con esto, está muy bueno el mensaje que dan.
First and foremost, though, right now, you don't have to knock anything down. We got lawyers for that. But you do have to put skin in the game. You have to put skin in the game, and you have to stop making it all about you. So, scene.
Well said. Thank you. Does anyone else have anything to add before we move on?
Well, first off, I want to thank and I applaud Paul and June for the things that they said from their hearts and their commitment. And I have to say that, you know, this whole system that we've come to recognize after the killing of Big Floyd by an officer of the law, quote unquote, the thing that we've come to recognize is that there is such a thing as...
Ok, me acaban de informar que claro, tengo el 19, así que lo voy a quitar. Eso era para marcar la hora y se me olvidó quitarlo, ok, así que déjenme que lo quito. Perfecto. Muchísimas gracias, Víctor IBN.
Systemic racism, and for a long time that was in denial, but that system's been put in place for longer, and for some to taking the process down. The dismantling of racism is going to be now the burden or the baton of white people. Black folk have been burdened by the victim. I remember a teacher saying, reporting to my mom that I was enough. So with that prompt, I began to smile, comfortable, and I realized at different stages of my life I was told I was intimidated.
Vamos a ver un poco la calidad porque la verdad se ve bastante. Parecer la verdad y todo eso.
And so my demeanor, my smile became to take away their fear. And
Ok, qué mala calidad que está subido la verdad el panel. Está en mala calidad.
all wearing masks, the real veil has been taken away. And I applaud these young people who are in the streets right now because they've ripped it off now. They realize no more masks. And they realize.
Ok, pensé que la cámara realmente tenía algo, o sea, que la calidad del video tenía.
To fight for it and to stand for it. But I just want to remind everyone that it's not an overnight thing. Can't just make this a race to a finish line, because there is no finish line. There's no destination. There's just an equal society that we strive for, and that's an ideal. But the little things we can do, we ask ourselves, what is it that I can do? And I suggest when you see someone, a stranger, meet them with your heart, meet them with a smile, a touch, a look in the eye.
Estoy viendo que se está cortando mucho, que este directo tiene muchos problemas. Hasta ahora no revelan nada nuevo, realmente solamente están hablando de racismo. Ya llevamos 10 minutos 43 de racismo y todo eso, pero por lo que veo ya está ocupando mucho, ¿ok? Según yo iban a mostrar un tráiler, un póster y todo eso, así que, bueno, nada.
Us little by little for each other. Let's look at ourselves to see we're in denial, and if we harbor some kind of with this fear for a long time. Even though I've had people invest in me, I've had loving parents, I went to the best schools, all of that. At the end of the day, I walk in fear when I'm outside, because for my nephews or for myself, one person's fear can be a threat to my life. And I'm tired of it. But I'm really, really, as I say, chuffed. I'm very confident that one day we'll all be free. So just to put a little Yoda in it, don't try, do.
Ariana?
I just wanted to add how important it is to vote, both federally and locally. Being someone from a border town, I see farm workers who are currently considered both illegal and essential in the United States. I live in a city where there's a detention center that has horrendous living conditions for children that are at high risk for contracting coronavirus. I have a mother who...
Directo, como digo, traba o se escucha mal el audio o algo así en una parte, sé que se escucha un poco.
Have a quiet room like this. They can't afford good Wi-Fi. And I live in an area where programs like DACA are extremely important. So I urge you all to please vote and elect officials that you want to lead this country and who are willing to fund programs and agencies income. And please just wear a mask.
Well said. Thank you, everyone. There's no easy transition from that, nor should there be, but I do want to talk a little bit about why we're all here in the first place. And just because we got the teaser trailer, which is the first time that anyone, including the cast...
Y vamos a ver oficialmente el primer vistazo a Helstrom.
There he is. My boy.
Mommy, dearest.
Okay.
I know you set something loose on this world. What was it?
I think you know. No stone unturned.
My body is my body.
This family is unnatural.
Ok, para empezar, fecha confirmada de estreno 16 de octubre, ok, acá lo podemos ver. Espérenme. 16 de octubre la serie va a salir oficialmente, ok, primero tenemos eso. Después, bueno, se va a relacionar mucho con lo satánico, con lo del diablo y todo eso, ya saben. Eso es algo de la hipnosis en sí y de lo que va el personaje. Así que era de esperar. El trailer no nos revela mucho, la verdad, más que nada nos revela escenas sueltas con música, que como no revela mucho, solamente sabemos que es una familia así como antinatural. Después, si no me equivoco, Helstrom tiene mucha relación con Mephisto, por ejemplo. Así que sí, hasta ahora realmente no nos mostraron nada. Yo esperaba como algo que nos mostraran como algo que dijimos, wow, por ejemplo la primera aparición de Mephisto, o bueno, o un traje, ¿cómo se puede? Así que no nos mostraron nada en sí, pero bueno, un trailer siempre se agradece porque es oficial y porque precisamente en este 2020 no tuvimos nada oficial, así que, pero bueno, esperemos que vaya mostrando cosas nuevas porque si no, y antes todavía nos quedan más de, bueno, a ver, vamos, perdón, es de 40 minutos, así que todavía nos queda mucho, pero en el primer trailer no muestra mucho, la verdad.
Oh my god!
Wow.
So that's fun.
Oh my god!
Wow, wow.
Wow.
I jumped and I knew what was coming.
That was so good. That was so good.
I am a total chicken when it comes to horror, and this looked scary as hell. Like, I was watching the first episode, and I definitely jumped a bunch of times. So I'm curious for all of you whether there were any moments that creeped you out from filming or just reading the script.
There are a couple locations that we film at. One in particular, I'm not
hospital.
Pull it out. Okay, yeah.
Which is totally haunted. It is totally.
Yeah.
Ok, definitivamente va a haber una escena terrorífica en el hospital, ok, en un hospital va a haber una escena terrorífica. Como digo, siempre hay que prestar mucha atención a los diálogos porque pueden revelar bastante.
Straight up haunted.
Yeah, signs written in dust on the floor and all sorts of terrifying things.
And just the energy, like the moment you cross the threshold of that place, you feel it. You feel it. And then when I do crazy voice, like crew members are like...
That's what I was going to say. Every time I had to work with Beth, I was always so scared.
Crew thought I was a bear that got onto the set. Literally, like 2 security guys had to come into the cast tent because they thought I was a bear.
Sound you make? So
Yeah. It was my vocal warm-up.
Well, I guess to kick us off, Paul, it's a sensible thing to start with you. Can you talk a little bit about adapting this iconic Marvel character? What were some of the kind of key things you wanted to include from the comics?
Me da risa porque uno de los icónicos personajes de Marvel, sí, porque cuando vamos a Marvel, o sea, no me gusta mucho criticar, pero bueno, cuando vamos a Marvel obviamente pensamos en Helstrom porque es obviamente un personaje icónico de Marvel.
Just how you approached the whole process of the show.
You know, it started a few years back. We talked about sort of bringing a little bit of a darker tone to the Marvel Universe on TV. And exploring some of the darker characters on the horror side. And, you know, I had a few in mind. Helstrom was one of them that I enjoyed. And one of the things that I gravitated to was just that original sort of family story about this brother and this sister and this mother and like this father. For those of you uneducated, I find that hard to believe at Comic-Con. It is based on the book The Son of Satan. So it's a really bad dad story. Ultimately, we've grounded it a little bit more in the real world, but I was interested in that kind of take. And originally in one of the comics, Marvel Spotlight 13, there's this one specific panel in an issue written by Gary Friedrich, penciled by Herb Trimpe. And Herb drew this panel where it's Damon Helstrom in his full-on like red cape and his, you know, pentagram, everything on his bare chest and whatever. And he's
bueno, ese más o menos va a ser el look de Helstrom, ¿ok? Por lo que sabemos ese va a ser el look de Helstrom. Entonces, ya saben, como el pecho sin, la parte del pecho desnuda, tiene la parte del pecho sin remera, sin camisa, todo rojo. Ok, bueno, ya nos van dando pequeños adelantos a cómo va a ser.
He's in his mother's library, and his mother has just passed, and he's reading her diary and sort of learning his origin story through this book that his mother wrote. And in this panel, he's sitting there, and there's tears streaming down his face in the panel. And I looked at that and I went, I kind of know all I need to know about this entire story, like in that panel. It was, you know, even though there's crazy fire, supernatural stuff and all of the, you know, cool Marvel of it all, it was rooted in emotion and emotion that I can understand. And so I gravitated to that and went, I think I know what's going on here. And that's what pulled me into it.
And the comics are very much, at least, you know, Son of Satan is very much Damon's story, but it seems like this is, you kind of built it to be an actual dynamic between Anna and Damon, so it's not just one person's story or the other. Can you talk a little bit about balancing it that way?
It's a family story. I mean, and not just Damon and Anna and their mom. It's like, it's about an extended family. It's about the family we're born with and then the family we create. It's a nature versus nurture story. It's about, you know, the stuff that we're born with genetically that we inherit and we carry with us because we have to. And it's about our environment. It's about how we were raised and who raised us and what values we are imprinted with as we grow older. And that affects our ability to judge right from wrong and our morality. Again, touching on sort of the order of the day. And then there are the decisions that you make. And that's sort of this cast here that we've built here is sort of a reflection of that. It's about all of these characters being part of this family, dealing with their own personal...
O sea, lo que me están diciendo es que la serie se va a entornar en la familia, ¿okay? Que técnicamente de eso típico que vemos en muchas series y películas, de luchar contra tu lado malvado, más que nada en series de superhéroes, de que hay una parte en la cual ellos tienen que luchar con su lado malvado y con su origen. Bueno, eso es lo típico, de que realmente tratar de buscar tu propia personalidad, ¿ok? A través de las decisiones que tomas y no de la de tu padre. Bueno, cosas realmente típicas de series, es técnicamente lo que se va a basar en esta serie.
That's sort of the perspective that I tried to, you know, build.
Well, Tom and Sydney, I want to talk a little bit about this kind of brother and sister dynamic between Anna and Damon at the center of it all, and kind of how their relationships both differ between each other and also with their mother. So it all seems very tense and like it would be a very awkward Thanksgiving family dinner. So I don't know, Tom, if you want to start, and then we'll go to Sydney.
Tom, you don't have...
I what?
You don't have Thanksgiving, do you?
No, I don't know what that is. But anyway.
I don't either.
Yeah.
Yet.
I think...
No!
Oh, no. Something just happened.
Demons.
Sorry, Tom.
I think it's interesting kind of touching on what Paul was saying before about the sort of relationship between Damon and Anna, because in many ways they are the closest family members in the show, but in many other ways they're actually the furthest apart. They both built their own kind of new families in their new lives, and we get to see those and we get to learn about those and we get to see how they operate in their own worlds. And then when they do come back together, as it's shown in the teaser that they do, we get to see how that.
Con el panel no hice nada nuevo, el tráiler realmente no muestra de nuevo nada nuevo, más que la madre está así como loca, técnicamente. Nada, no muestra nada nuevo, ¿ok? No, realmente hasta ahora el panel llevamos por más de la mitad del panel y no. Ojalá, como digo, se muestre algo wow, porque si no realmente creo que ya estoy un poco desilusionado con Marvel por poner a show de Marvel así como 6, así que espero que este tampoco sea una excepción. Por ahora realmente, si así terminara el panel, sería también un panel muy malo, así que ojalá muestren algo. No quiero ser impaciente, pero es que como digo, tampoco quería ser impaciente con Marvel así unos 6, 40 minutos también y como que no sé, lo alargaron y bueno, nada, ojalá muestren algo nuevo, en serio.
Kind of victims of childhood trauma that they both deal with in completely different ways. And for me, it's so interesting, you know, when Sid and I were working together, kind of bringing these two things and trying to navigate them together, both as actors and as our characters. And it's a really interesting, really messed up, really dangerous and vulnerable dynamic for both of them, I think. Now Sid's going to contradict everything I just said.
Perfect sibling relationship.
I'm not quite sure what you were talking about.
Estoy viendo que se está trabando el directo de Verdenos y Kryptonianos. Voy a verificar un poco. Ahí se debería estar reajustando un poco.
No, and I really, sort of to piggyback off that, it's true. And I think Anna and Damon, as with every character in our story, they're just plagued really by their history and what they've been through, what they've overcome. And Anna is someone who is characterized by what she's overcome and how she's sort of responded to the traumas and the crap that's come flying at her, that's come barreling at her. So Anna and Damon are different because they respond differently to these things, but they're similar because I think at the end of the day, they want the same thing, which is, I think, the thing that every person wants: safety and love and understanding. But they get it, they try to get after it in really different ways. And that's where the tension, I think, is born.
Yeah, and they're not like anyone else, you know. They can do stuff that other people can't do. Like fly. No, I'm kidding. They can't fly.
I was going to say, what are their abilities? Because it seems like they can do a lot of very interesting things. So what were your favorite powers for each of you to play?
How much can I say, Paul?
Well, let's just say that they have different abilities that, you know, you saw a trace of in the trailer. Bit of Easter egg material there.
I will say
they can manipulate energy in different ways. Let's put it that way, in a very kind of generic, blandly Marvel teaser way.
I love that, and it's a perfect segue for Elizabeth, because as we were talking about with the voice and the physicality, Victoria is clearly a very tortured soul, shall we say, and your performance is just chilling, even from the little bit in the teaser, just literal chills. So I'm very curious how you found Victoria's voice and the physicality, and how you kind of manifest all of the things that she's going through internally.
Right. About the state of the world.
Fair, yeah.
And then you have that voice, which is amazing that I have any voice at all left right now. Yes, it's not from 10 packs of cigarettes. I don't smoke. And the physicality, honestly, I lifted so much from Anthony Hopkins. I just watched Anthony Hopkins. And why not? And as far as, you know, it's interesting because we deal with archetypes in this show. We deal with sort of a Jungian psychogeography. And so navigating that is fascinating. through the template of the family. And a door that helped me a lot was looking through the lens of addiction, although that is not the story. It's not a story of addiction, but it is a story of a mother who loves her children and yet is overtaken by something out of her control, and that separates her from her love, and that overtakes her and drives this other thing in her. And that is often the story of children of alcoholics or drug.
Ok, me acaban de decir que en sí la madre tiene una doble y después está como, bueno, como eso que sería como el lado poseído de ella, su alter ego.
Drug addicts. And then there is a whole nother level, which is the comic book world that rides on top of all of that sort of subterranean territory, that then is incredibly playful and funny and wild. So it's so interesting for me, as I've been stuck on a farm too long and I'm rambling.
Robert, let's go to you, because your role as caretaker is pretty cryptic, and it's obviously a very iconic role from the comics. So what are you allowed to tell us about him?
When we start our story, there's a new element in my life that is, in a strange sense, just as grounding, even though I'm tending, and it's through her that I earned the nickname caretaker. I'm tending her soul, which I witness being shattered. And so there's no reason why this child should walk through the world with any sense of confidence in herself. But yet she does. She's a beautiful, radiant, smart, glamorous, and powerful young woman. And the two of them, the two women that I'm describing, make a very powerful triangle that helps me go deeper and allows me to help them in some very, very powerful ways. I guess that's all I can say. It's all pretty cryptic, I guess.
I like it.
Love it.
A+. Well, did you read up on him as a character in terms of your preparation, or was it easier or kind of better for you to just kind of go with what was on the page versus, the years of Marvel history?
Sit down at the table read, so I really didn't get a chance to do much preparation, especially in the Marvel library. But Paul.
10 minutos. Ya sé que lo que están haciendo es relatando lo que vimos en el trailer con alguna que otra cosa nueva que no importa porque la vamos a ver en la serie y que he utilizado en muchas series. No hablaron realmente sobre una con... No hay nada. Ya revelaron mucho y esto es una escritura, o sea que no es como que tenemos que esperar mucho. Y si no puedes mostrar mucho, entonces ¿para qué hacer un panel? ¿Ok? Se pasaron 15 minutos hablando de racismo, que no está tan mal, pero a ver, si no muestran algo interesante, no es por ser racista, pero ya en esta parte te puedes dar cuenta que el directo no va a mostrar mucho, ¿ok? Vamos a seguir viéndolo por seguir viéndolo y porque tengo que transmitir el panel, pero hasta ahora es una completa decepción.
The story and the character and I, along with everyone else, proceed to find a way out of it.
We reinvented Caretaker quite a bit from the comics, so I'm not sure how much good it would have done you to, look at the image of a guy with a big old floppy hat whacking people over the head with a shovel, but,
Although I did want to do that in the first episode. I mean, I did have a shovel in that first episode. So
yeah, there are Easter eggs in the show in that way, nods to every character from the comic book a little bit, and so yeah, we did give Bob a shovel in the first episode.
Yeah.
Nice, I like it. It seems very antagonistic at first. So how do their kind of approaches differ to, I guess, helping the lost souls that they encounter?
Yeah, I think Gabriella and Damon have a very complicated relationship because I think they approach the same goal very differently. I am someone who comes in with the world is able to see things differently. So at the beginning, I think it's difficult for me to feel like we're on the same team. But throughout the season, I mean, more and more we realize that the goal is the same. And I think Gabriella begins to have a lot more empathy for Damon because his backstory, his history with his family unfolds, and you just realize this is someone who's just really hurt and who loves his mom. And that's something that you can relate to, especially.
And June, tell us a little bit about Dr. Hastings' relationship with Damon, because there's a really lovely kind of almost maternal bond there between them. So I'm very curious kind of for you to dig into that.
Hopefully without giving too much away, I essentially inherit this person. And I, being where I'm at, is that okay to say? Paul, am not quite prepared. I'm not quite prepared. I do it anyway. And I kind of keep getting shocked. But then I also keep searching for the center, you know, the center of this person, and come to care for that center. And it is sort of, it flip-flops between combative and, you know, hard, you know, what do you call it? Hard, tough love, and gentle, come on, you can do it. And I think that it actually helps my character, helps Louise figure out who exactly she is, because I don't think she actually knows until she inherits this thing and is tested.
I love that.
You know, one of the things we tried to infuse in all of the characters is everyone has their own moral compass. You know, everyone has their own sort of guiding principle of what is right to them and what is wrong for them. And that is, again, based on their experiences in life and how they grew up and how they were raised and what they were supposed to think. And, you know, the influences of, you know, their religious backgrounds, their cultural backgrounds, and their experiences, their traumatic experiences. And crossing here, you have conflict, you know, you have people saying, hey, that's right, or that's wrong, and you shouldn't have done that to me, or we shouldn't be doing this together. And it just makes for great scenes between great actors. And it's a lot of fun to play with, as opposed to just superheroes punching each other. You know, if there's no emotion at its root, if there's no sort of morality at stake and good and evil, you know, why are we telling the story?
Love that. Elaine, your character Chris is very close to Anna, I know, but she also he kind of seems to end up doing her dirty work a little bit from what little I've seen of the show. But I'm
no.
I like you.
I know this is me. I think everyone kind of touched on it. I think the show itself really tackles the repercussions of an original sin in so many ways, where you find ways to connect with people. And in this sense, with Anna and Chris, there is a shared path, a shared way of healing that they shared in foster care. That's where they kind of originally met. And, you know, when I was doing research for this character, I was talking to my sister, who is very involved and has a lot of experience in this field. And I said, what happens when you find yourself in that situation, a person who is going through the foster care? And she said, trust is a big issue. Like anything else, you have to trust people. And if you can't trust, you know, it's important for people who have trauma to find ways to connect. And I think in that regard, you know, Chris and Anna found themselves in a situation where I think there is that shared trauma, even though they're kind of different things that happen to them. And then as they grow up, they found themselves in a world where they have to sort of survive. And when I spoke to my sister about this, I asked her, like, what's the success rate of anyone coming out of a foster care? And she said, you have to define what success is. She said, that's a unicorn. That's a person that actually found a way to survive. And I think that's that connection between Anna and Chris, is that they found ways to survive. And there's that sort of, symbiotic relationship between the two. And in that regard, I think there's that trust that Anna has with Chris, that, hey, I am this person, I trust you with it, and can you be in some ways my brother in that sense? Because again, there's that sort of different families that Tom alluded to between these two characters, and I think that's sort of the sum of the two parts between Anna and Chris.
I feel like I already know the answer to this just from what you guys have said earlier, but I'm curious which of you would be the most likely to go demon hunting in real life.
June.
No. No.
I would love to see you demon hunting, though, just to see you freak out, like
No, actually, then it is Paul.
I think it's gonna be Paul.
Yeah, I'm hunting very different kinds of demons every day.
All right. Well, I know that we're running out of time, so I want to give us all a last chance to drop maybe a tease or a preview about what's coming up this season, whether it's something that you're excited for fans to see, anything like that. I guess we'll start with Paul because he knows what he's allowed to say and not.
For the fans.
Ok, a ver algo. A ver si muestra algo interesante.
Of the comic books, the show is laced with Easter eggs, both on set and props, in story, in character stuff, and that kind of stuff. Keep your eyes out for that.
Ok, dice que va a haber muchos Easter eggs, ok, muchas referencias. Puede ser a Mephisto, ojalá una sea Mephisto, que es una parte muy importante, que además puede influir mucho más en los estudios. Bueno, fuera de eso también puede introducir un personaje que va a hacer referencia a algún evento del UCM o que no sabemos totalmente si va a conectar. No sé, porque hasta ahora ni el logo de Marvel tiene, así que...
June, how about you?
I sound like a broken record, I know, but the acting, this show is ridiculous.
I second that, for sure. This cast is amazing, and the stuff that we have asked them to do is nuts. So, thank you all.
Weirdly, I'm most excited for people to see the second half of the season, because we read each episode just before we were about to film it, and by about episode 5 or 6, you think you know the world that we're in. You think you understand who these people are, and then very quickly you find out that you actually haven't got a clue what is going on.
Ok, bueno, entonces por el capítulo 5 o 6 va a pasar un evento fuerte, ok, algo que va a definir en sí a toda la temporada, así que, bueno.
Everything flips on its head, and I'm really excited to see how people respond to that.
Yeah, I'm just going to ruin it for everybody. Okay, so this is what happens. Listen, okay. And then the guy comes back, okay? Comes back, and he comes in.
Someone's going to hack this.
And then
go out.
I had one job, and you couldn't do it.
You're fired, Elaine. You're fired.
I yield my time. I yield my time.
You're taking my time.
I think you just dropped the mic then, man.
You're welcome.
Yeah. If I had a mic, I would drop it. Walk out. You're welcome.
That is unfortunately all we have time for. So I want to thank you guys so much.
It's nice to see you guys.
Good to see you. Great to see everybody. Thanks for doing this, guys.
You guys are the best.
No sé qué decir. Nada. No. Marvel, ¿qué te está pasando? No, no puedo creer que esto sea Marvel, esto no es Marvel, por más que ya sé que es una serie de Hulu, pero realmente Marvel está supervisando ahí Marvel 616, después esto, ¿qué le pasa a Marvel? Luego que escuchamos que Buck y todo eso, chistes realmente, es que sí, todos estos paneles están preparados, pero los sentís que está preparado. Nada chicos, ¿qué puedo decir? Si no fuera por... No, es que no sé si... Están al mismo nivel, ¿saben? El Marvel 616 y esto. El Marvel 616 tiene que ver con los cómics. No sé qué está pasando con esta industria de los cómics. Este panel realmente fue una decepción total. El trailer no muestra nada. Me dijeron muy pocas cosas sobre la trama. Y si no tienen contenido... No es que, bueno, la serie se en octubre, no tengo mucho contenido, entonces no hagan un panel. Porque un panel así es una completa decepción a lo que realmente se esperaba. Un trailer, como digo, obvio en todos los sentidos, las cosas que dijeron sobre la trama no aportan absolutamente nada. Así que bueno, esto fue el directo, gracias por los si ustedes preguntan, suscríbanse al canal, pero es que este directo hubo problemas con la cámara, con el audio, y además de todo eso, nada, un panel totalmente lamentable. Si ustedes preguntan quiénes somos, nosotros somos equipo Marvel